2 free transfers in the bank, but I think I'm using 3 and taking a 4-point hit. Welcome to the Gianni YouTube show. Hope you guys are good and you're looking forward to Game Week 25. Game Week 24 took forever, but here we are ahead of Game Week 25, the Friday night deadline, and this is going to be my team selection video. We've got loads to digest because since we did our last team selection, well, there's been lots of news. We've had FA Cup games, we have an EFL Cup semi-finals, and with that, we now know more about the blanks in the game weeks, and with that, we can start to talk way more about chip strategy with accuracy. So we're going to start today's video talking about chip strategy because we need to know what we're doing in Game Week 29. We need to know what we're doing around free hit and wildcard, especially when we're making our transfers now. Of course, this week, here and now, Game Week 25 sees a double for Aston Villa, who don't play in 29, and Liverpool, who also don't play in 29. What does that mean? Well, let's get to it. If you're enjoying the show so far, do hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. So look, we're going to start with Ben Crellin. Ben is a good friend of mine. Ben is got 300,000 Twitter followers. Make sure you go follow him. He is the best for predicting team news. The best for predicting fixture news, where fixtures could drop. He looks at the schedule and goes, where are the free slots? And he predicts a lot of things that come true. So he has said for a long time 29 will be a blank. We now know 29 will be a blank for Villa and Liverpool and Crystal Palace and Newcastle. But we also know that we're going to get big double game weeks in 33 and 36. Now we can see the key here. 33 is very likely to be a bigger double game week. There's fixtures there that are likely to drop, like Aston Villa getting a double, Palace, Man City and Newcastle. 34 is going to be a blank game week, we know that, but it might not be a very big blank, and 36 is also going to be a double, but we don't know how big, and we don't know what 34 and 36 and 33 look like until after game week 29. But we can start to plan. So look, we'll talk more about this table as the weeks go on. I need to know very, very soon what I'm doing in 29, because if I'm free hitting in 29 or not, it affects the rest of my chip strategy, but more importantly, it affects my transfers this week. So let me explain. I've got 2 main strategies before we look at Game Week 29, and this will make sense for Game Week 25, which is where we're at, but let's just show you a tweet. I tweeted earlier, I'm still unsure if I free hit in 29. If I don't, I rock the template chip strategy, which is going to be, after that blank in 29, we dead end, and we wildcard therefore in 30, 31. By then we've got the information about 33, 34, 36. That means we can wildcard and then bench boost in 33, probably, with 15 players playing twice. And then we can free hit in the blank of 34 or in the double of 36. I don't have triple captain. Obviously, you could free hit 34, triple captain 36, or assistant manager 36. But I am also exploring using the free hit in blank game week 29. I'll tell you why in a sec. Bench boosting in double 33 still, like all the wildcarders, but I won't have wildcarded. But because I've free hit in 29, I'll have loads of free transfers. So I get to 33 and I can still get 15 players playing twice, potentially. I can then wildcard in 34, which will be a blank, but make sure I've got coverage for the double in 36 as well. An option. Now, let me tell you why I'm unsure, and it's when we see Game Week 29, this is really important. And guys, trust me, this all makes sense for Game Week 25, so I hope you're following. But in Game Week 29, all do this exercise right now. We can see the fixtures. There's only 8 fixtures. How many players do you have from Liverpool, Newcastle, Villa and Palace? Because they ain't playing. Now, these are popular clubs. So straight away, we look at Game Week 29 and I see a big gap. I go, Gianni, at the moment, before any transfers, you have 3 Liverpool players. That's a problem. You have 2 Newcastle players. I've got Isak and Hall. Probably going to have 2 Villa players because I'm probably buying a second Villa player this week. We'll talk more about that in a sec. I've got a Crystal Palace player in Daniel Munoz. And I've got Rico Lewis, who isn't starting. So effectively, I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players not playing in 29. Now, if I didn't use my assistant manager chip, I'd be accumulating free transfers. But as things stand, I'm using a transfer and assistant manager chip this week and next week. So my free transfers are only, as well as other free transfers I've built up for transfers, I'm only going to have free transfers in 27, 8 and 9. So I would accumulate 3 extra transfers. I'll have 6 players playing. I could get to 9 men. It could be fine, right? It's still a problem and it's not ideal. I don't really want to sell my Liverpool, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace players. Maybe Aston Villa, but certainly not selling Daniel Munoz. I don't want to sell Isak. I could sell Lewis Hall. And my 3 Liverpool I'm very, very happy with. So look ahead to 29 to see how many players you have blanking. Now, I look at the free hit in 29, and let me just circle a few teams that I'd be interested in. Man City, if they're doing well at the time. Could I back them against Brighton in a big way? Probably. Wolves against Southampton? Yes. I'd have some Bournemouth players. So let's circle City, Wolves, Bournemouth. Chelsea, Arsenal, I'm probably swerving, 1 or 2, but not in a big way. And probably Man United. Other than that, Forest. Let's circle Forest against Ipswich. So there's 3 or 4 teams there, but nothing special, and I can have these players in my actual team anyway. So I'm still unsure what I do, but it matters because right here, right now in Game Week 25, when we look at my team, do I really want to be buying players that aren't playing in 29, knowing I'm already going to be short? So let's have a look how my team is set up for Game Week 25. This is the Game Week 25 show. I know we've spoken loads about 29, but hopefully you understand why. Before we do that, guys, I would love to just give a shout out to channel memberships on this channel. I rarely promote this, but we do have 2 offerings if you want to support the channel. They're monthly offerings. It gives you extra priority access to stuff, like I do extra content videos for all of the channel members, squad and ultras tier. I also reply to all comments at any point on this channel, but if you're a member, I make a point of replying in more detail, and on my live streams I integrate you into those shows. You dictate the agenda if you're a channel member, and then the ultras can join the WhatsApp group too. So there's loads of benefits to being a channel member if you want to. It just supports the channel and keeps me making hopefully content you guys enjoy. Thanks as always for your time, whether you're a member or not, and do hit those like and subscribe buttons if you want to show support another way. Bus team, let's get to it. I've got 2 free transfers. I'm not in a bad position here. So how does my team shape up? How am I looking? Well, look, Pickford in goal. Pleased to bring him in. We've got Daniel Munoz. I benched him for 11 points last game week. Gutted. Started Lewis Hall. So we've got the Lewises on the bench. Lewis Hall and Rico Lewis with Fabianski. Daniel Munoz, Mikalenko and Trent. Now, you've got to think Trent and Mikalenko will be fine. Cross fingers. Midfield, Palmer. Enzo on the bench. Rodgers already with a double. And Salah, who will obviously be my captain. But Bruno, he's been stinking the place out. So at the moment, we got Bruno in there. I've also got João Pedro also stinking the place out. I don't think João Pedro even starts on Friday night for Brighton. He didn't start in the FA Cup. He got hooked against Forest at half-time. I wonder if he's actually not going to be in the first choice 11. Let's see. Gakpo with a double. And then Isak. So, big decisions this week with 2 free transfers. I have Moyes in at the assistant manager. So straight away, let's just make a transfer there. Obviously, I'm not keeping Moyes. I'm chasing the guy with the double game week. I don't have the money to go slot. I've got 3 Liverpool players. I don't want to go slot. I want to go Emery. And I want to pray. Emery, you've got 2 great fixtures. We can see them here. I say 2 great fixtures, 2 home fixtures. One of them's very good. It's Ipswich at home. And the other one is a proper tough upset. Can he cause an upset versus Liverpool? Probably not. Can he get a draw? He's got a chance. He's got a chance of an upset. I feel like with this chip, you've got to be in it to win it. And the bonus is so big that you can take a punt. I'm very happy punting on Emery for that Liverpool fixture. And I fancy him to get good points against Ipswich. So Emery is 0.8 million. Welcome to the team. Will you be in my team in Game Week 26 or will I use another transfer on assistant manager? I'll use another transfer. And I got some early thoughts on that. But we'll talk about that early next week. Because again, I'm going to be going for table bonus, guys, in 26. So how does this team look once we've made transfers? Well, I said at the start of the week, I'm looking to sell Bruno, I'm looking to sell João Pedro and take a 4-point hit. Now, if I do that, obviously the players coming in, it's pretty obvious, right? I'd target Bournemouth mids and Villa attack. Now, if I'm doing that, let's just talk very quickly about Bournemouth mids because I have spoken at length about Bournemouth mids, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you've heard it to death. We do have a comparison chart here from the Scout members area. This is a spider diagram. It shows you, I think this shows you that all 3 are very good options. It shows you Kluivert slightly edges it. It shows you Semenyo takes the most shots, but often they're low XG shots. Dango gets the most XG and the bigger chances. Kluivert's the informed player. How do you split them? Comes down to budget, comes down to appetite, and maybe risk appetite. Like Kluivert's the safest because he has penalties, but he has taken 6 pens this season. Semenyo is the best player, but Dango's playing number 9 and 5 million. Now he's almost 20% less Dango than Kluivert. So money's going to be tight for me. So my decision is kind of made by price, and I'm happy I don't have to fight it too much because genuinely I struggle to pick between the three of them and rank them. If I go purely on value though, given the price point, I think I do rate Dango number 1. So Bruno comes out this team and Dango goes in. Leaves me with loads of money. I can upgrade João Pedro to most strikers in the game. And I think Chris Wood's good, Wissa's good, Cunha's good. We'll talk about those 3. But I'm just going to chase a doubler. And if that doubler is fit in Ollie Watkins and we get something from Emery in his press conference or we see training ground pictures, I will back Ollie Watkins. I need him to be fit. And if he is, these are the 2 moves I make. Now, this leaves me with 0.4 million in the bank, a minus for Watkins for that Ipswich fixture is too good to turn down. It is 4 games in 10 days for Villa, and he doesn't play in game week 29, which we spoke about at the top of the show. So almost certainly I'd be using a transfer out on Watkins in a few weeks, which begs the question, should I go João Pedro to a different striker that I know plays in 29? My answer is going to be, no, I'm buying Ollie Watkins if I think he starts. But if he doesn't start, then I do have an option 2 of this team. I still make the midfield transfer of Bruno out to Dango, and then I've got a huge amount of money in the bank, like over 9 million in the bank to buy a striker. Now, I own the best striker in the game in Isak. I'm very happy with Gakpo, but there are 3 other forwards here. So let's just pop like in that spot. Like we'll take Watkins out, and João Pedro isn't going to stay. But there are 3 other forwards to discuss, and this is an option 2 of my team if Watkins isn't fit. Right? Option 1 is Chris Wood. I feel like I've missed the boat, but I've been saying that all season. He just got 17 points, for God's sake. The fixtures are fine. Fulham away is a good fixture. Newcastle is a tough one, so is Arsenal. Man City's a good fixture, and then it's Ipswich in game week 29. I've got no doubt Chris Wood will have to be in my team in game week 29 for that blank, because he'll be arguably a captaincy shout for 29. His expected data is rubbish. His actual data, which is all that matters, is outstanding. He's massively overperforming his XG. Everything he touches turns to gold. But this is consistently happening, and I'm willing to back him. I feel like Watkins will be fine, and I don't see me having to go in this direction. Would I go to Wood, or am I put off by those fixtures? I think I've not owned Wood all season. It's been part of the reason why I'm having such a bad year. Maybe I wouldn't be at 1.3 million if I owned Chris Wood. But I'm going to say it's unlikely I buy Chris Wood. There are 2 other forwards I like. By the way, guys, speaking of likes, thank you so much for hitting them. I know I bang on about it, but if you don't ask, you don't get. And genuinely, if I don't say like and subscribe, people tend not to. So thanks, guys. If you're enjoying the show, do drop a comment as well with your thoughts on these. Johan Wissa is another legit option because I like Brentford for their output. I tell you what, if Bournemouth had a forward that I could pick, I'd go to Bournemouth. But Dango is listed as a midfielder. The Brentford fixtures are fine. They play in 29. These 3 options I'm about to show you all play in 29, unlike Ollie Watkins. I could look at Wissa. He's been quiet of late. We've seen 3 2-pointers, but he has been getting the chances. West Ham, Leicester, Everton, Villa, Bournemouth, Newcastle. It's a great run. And he gets the chances. He plays for a team that produced big chances. And he's now a 90-minute man, Wissa. He hasn't always been at Brentford. Of course, we know that. And then it's Cunha, who I think I'm going to want in 27, 28 anyway. Now, Cunha under the new manager hasn't been as good. But he scored last time out in the FA Cup. The data looks all right. And the fixtures aren't great for entry point 25. Like Liverpool away is as tough as it gets for Cunha. But Cunha's playing for a move. He needs a big second half of the season. He's signed a new contract with a buyout clause. He knows he wants someone to come in for whatever that clause is. It's like 50, 60 million or whatever it is. I don't want to be misquoted there. I'm not actually sure. I think it's around 50. If that's the case, you need to perform second half of the season, mate. And with these fixtures, he absolutely can. He's the main man at the club. I've got very fond memory. I haven't owned Chris Wood, but when I should have bought Chris Wood, I was on Cunha, who also did very, very well. Fond memories of him. He's an eye test guy as well as putting up good numbers. He takes set pieces, he takes corners, he takes penalties. He often plays 90. Bournemouth after Liverpool, but then from 27. Fulham and Everton at home, both of them. Southampton away, West Ham at home, Ipswich away. We're all going to want Cunha in our teams. If I buy Ollie Watkins, I'll probably end up moving to Cunha anyway in a couple of weeks. Could just go straight to Cunha. Saves me a transfer. I don't then get the double this week. But again, this is if Ollie Watkins is out. I think I'm more likely to go Cunha than I am Wissa and Wood. But let's see. Let's see. I think Ollie Watkins will probably be fine. So, option 2 of my team is Dango in and one of those 3 I've just discussed. Option 1, let's go back to it. This is the team I think I'll settle on because this is the team I think will happen. I think we'll hear something about Watkins. We'll see photos. Emery will tell us. And by the Friday deadline, we'll have more clarity. If I do this, I've got 0.4 in the bank. Now, 0.4 in the bank allows me to not buy any manager I want next week. Because remember, I'm going to be making assistant manager change. I'm probably not sticking with Unai Emery for Chelsea. I'll be making assistant manager changes. And if I do that, if I'm targeting the bonus, I could go cheap to a Van Nistelrooy against Brentford. Can't see that. McKenna versus Spurs could get table bonus. I quite like that as a punt. He's obviously cheap. But if I wanted to spend money, I'm like, I'm only going to have 1.2 million to spend. And the likes of Arteta, who could be a safe home banker, although with Havertz out for the season, maybe not, I can't get to 1.5. I could back Potter at 0.5 against Arsenal, or I could back Pep. There's likely to be 5 places between Pep and Liverpool. He's 1.5. I'd need to make another 4-point hit. So I don't know where I'll land with Gameweek 26. We'll talk more about assistant manager next week. We haven't discussed captaincy this week because we don't have to. The game's best player is playing twice. So stick it on Mo Salah if you want to be very different. Watkins or Gakpo maybe, but yeah, it's an easy one this week. It's not one to go against the obvious. Guys, I'll be back with a deadline stream on Friday night to lock in the transfers I've just spoken about. I'm sure I'll be landing on Watkins. If I don't think he's going to be fit though, I've got a big decision to make with that striker spot. I want to be aggressive. I want to sell João Pedro. I want to take a 4-point hit and chase points here and now. Guys, thank you as always for watching. We'll see you for another video very, very soon. Bye-bye.